Hey everybody, Chris Neuhahn here, and I want to talk about finding your own style, finding influences, and what I consider to be the heat death of art. So I think in a way that the internet has kind of ruined art. Not that it's destroyed or irrevocably ruined or anything like that, but it's because it's a well-crafted ruin. The issue is that we don't really have regional styles developing in a vacuum anymore. We don't have like a local music scene that explodes into popular culture. Everyone is influenced by everyone now because we have access to everything. It's like chain restaurants all have a Chinese chicken salad and Southwest egg rolls and whatever stuff that they all copy. The weird thing is because we have access to all this, it's gotten amazing. Like the artwork is amazing. Like you go on to ArtStation and the first page of it is amazing, amazing artwork. Well done artwork that all kind of looks like the same thing within a handful of categories. I've heard of musicians, comedians, and authors and people like that who completely stop consuming other people's work in their field because they don't want to inadvertently borrow. And I think that's a I don't do that personally. Maybe it's because I have this sort of contrarian instinct that always makes me want to do something different. I'm certainly not impervious to accidentally borrowing. Things like ArtStation, we can get pulled in a lot of different directions. And not just ArtStation, but popular things like Spider-Verse has clearly had an influence on a whole host of movies coming through. I've even worked on projects where the directive was to replicate that movie. And even though it was stated, find our own version of this, we took that as the version for us was replicate the boldness of the choices. But every time we did anything, the instruction was go back to that. This is what we're doing. We're making this. This happens on an individual level too. We're naturally drawn towards things. You know, like we like the way the one guy does eyes, or this other guy does teeth, or this girl does color, and we tend to want to do the same thing. You know, and occasionally someone will come along and change and have a bigger influence, and it'll upset the overall trends that are going. Like I said, Spider-Verse changed the whole movie scene away from doing photoreal. And it wasn't alone in that influence, but it clearly had a big, huge impact. We can see these trends happening all the time. Anyone that's been to CTN or any kind of like artist convention like that will see the trends spread. Like someone like Mindy Lee comes along, and for the next year or two, every artist at every booth is doing some variation of that, some variation of Mary Blair or Ivan Earl, or some like little golden books thing. I've done it. It's a fun style, and it's worth trying to explore and understand how it's created and that kind of thing. Even though there's a welcome trend away from photoreal CG and all that stuff, that already seems in a rut. I mean, how many years ago did Spider-Verse come out and people are still kind of trying to do the same thing? Of course there's exceptions, you know, but we'd all do good both on a, you know, like a studio level, but on an individual level, is to go on an input or influence sabbatical. Instead, go out into the world. Next time you're going to start a project, go out into the world and draw a building and find ways that you can make it your own. And that's really where style comes from. It's our idiosyncrasies. Even if we're trying to replicate someone else, we're going to have different ways that our hand moves or the way our eye perceives what we're looking at that will just come out different. That is what our style is. But instead of looking at Spider-Verse or whatever other influences coming along, go out into the world and draw it yourself and look for ways that you can exaggerate things. If you're chasing exaggeration, realism's obviously a different story. Find your interpretation of what a person looks like, what a building looks like, what a car looks like. And then you'll be interpreting the world rather than interpreting someone else's interpretation of the world. And you might develop something that is truly a new trend or a new breakout. The other thing I think that does is it makes it that you're doing something that the machines can't do. you're finding a new interpretation because the AI models are all trained on the existing interpretations. So you have a chance to do something different. Don't get me wrong, I don't think this is going to stop the march of AI art at all. But as a personal artist, because I don't use AI for output of my own work, it's just I'm not doing art for that reason. If I take the world in my interpretation, no one else can do that. I mean, I'm bringing all my influences and all that along with me. So there will always be some of that. But at least it's me figuring it out rather than just going and looking at a thing and trying to replicate it and then figure out why don't I look different than this other thing. But that's all. Go out and create, have fun. And one last thing I'll say is I have a Kickstarter launching soon for a children's book based on this character. This is a painting I did for my wife. The character is actually based on my wife, who I call the rabbit. That's why she has rabbit ears. And the book has 37 original paintings, no AI involved, over 52 pages. So there's 12 two-page spreads. It's a story about a girl's adventure into a sequoia forest that starts to turn scary when this pestering crow appears and starts flapping in her face. Then a bunch of other stuff happens along the way, and it's a story of perseverance and learning that you may have allies in unlikely places. Anyway, the link is down in the description where you can sign up for updates and exclusive discounts for when the Kickstarter does launch. Hope to see you there.